You know that specific silence. It's not peaceful. It's heavy. It's the kind of quiet that settles in the room 3 days after the big talk, where nothing was actually resolved, just paused. You're sitting on opposite ends of the couch. Your partner is scrolling through their phone, thumb moving rhythmically, eyes glazed over. And you are staring at the back of their head, feeling a physical ache in your chest that feels less like heartbreak and more like starvation. Your brain starts running the same old tape. Did I push too hard? Maybe I'm just too much. If I just give them space, they'll come back to me. Is this love, or is this just loneliness with a familiar face? Here is the truth that mainstream dating advice won't tell you. The distance isn't happening because your partner doesn't care. It's happening because their nervous system has interpreted your need for connection as a threat to their autonomy. You don't drift apart because the love fades. You drift apart because safety leaves the room. And without safety, intimacy cannot survive. You are not failing at love. This is not a sign that you chose the wrong person. Every couple that has ever loved each other deeply has stood exactly where you are standing right now, wondering if the wall between them is permanent. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly what is happening inside an avoidant partner's mind when they realize they've hurt you, why their apology often looks like silence, and how to bridge that gap without losing yourself in the process. Let's get into it. Most couples believe that when an avoidant partner pulls away or shuts down, it's a calculated act of indifference, a cold, conscious choice to ignore your feelings. We tell ourselves stories like, if they loved me, they would fight for me, or they are just selfish. But the real truth is far more vulnerable, and frankly, far more human. When an avoidant partner realizes they were wrong, their internal experience is not one of cold calculation. It is one of profound shame and physiological overwhelm. Their nervous system is reading your disappointment not just as feedback, but as evidence of their own inadequacy. For someone with an avoidant attachment style, being wrong feels dangerously close to being engulfed or controlled. So, what looks like stonewalling is usually someone who has been so overwhelmed by their own inability to meet your needs that silence becomes the only protection they have left. They aren't ignoring you to hurt you. They are hiding from themselves because they feel like they've failed you. When safety leaves a relationship, the love doesn't disappear. It goes underground. It hides behind walls of defensiveness and rationalization. And trying to break down those walls with logic, criticism, or demands for immediate repair only makes the avoidant partner dig in deeper. Because to them, your demand for connection feels like a demand for performance, and they are exhausted. Understanding this changes everything. It means the goal isn't to force them to apologize. The goal is to create enough emotional safety that their defense mechanisms can finally lower. The first shift you will notice is the shame spiral disguised as indifference. Most people in relationships interpret an avoidant sudden coldness after a conflict as arrogance. You think, they don't even care that they hurt me. But here is the deeper psychological truth. For an avoidant attacher, shame is intolerable. Unlike anxious attachers who move toward conflict to soothe anxiety, avoidants move away from conflict to soothe shame. When they realize they were wrong, their brain floods with cortisol. They feel defective. And the only way they know how to regulate that feeling is to detach completely until the feeling passes. Imagine this disconnecting dynamic. You send a text saying, "We need to talk about what happened last night." Their brain registers panic. They think, Here it comes. The lecture. The proof that I'm a bad partner. So they leave you on red for 6 hours. Now, imagine the connecting shift. You send a text saying, "I'm still hurting from last night, but I know you didn't mean to shut me out. Take some time to reset. I'm here when you're ready." Their brain registers safety. They think, "She sees me. She's not attacking my character. I can breathe." That's the shift that turns a relationship that feels like a courtroom into one that feels like a refuge. The second shift is the logical apology that misses the point. Most couples expect an apology to look like emotional mirroring, tears, remorse, and a deep dive into feelings. When an avoidant partner tries to apologize, it often sounds clinical. "I'm sorry I raised my voice. It was inefficient. Let's move on." This feels dismissive to you, but here is the part no one talks about. An avoidant partner often believes that fixing the problem is the same as fixing the emotion. They are trying to show they care by offering a solution, because sitting in the messy, unstructured pain of your hurt feels like drowning to them. Not louder conversations. Not more compromising. Not scheduling a weekly check-in. But two people who actually feel safe enough to be honest with each other for the first time in years. Here is the contrast. The disconnecting version. You say, "You never listen to how I feel." They reply, "Well, if you stopped crying, I could hear the facts." You feel invalidated. They feel helpless. The connecting version. You say, "I don't need you to fix it right now. I just need you to sit with me in this for 5 minutes." They take a breath. They put the phone down. They say, "Okay, I'm here." And when you do that, the walls between you start to come down without either of you having to say a word. The third shift is the overcorrection phase. Most people miss this entirely. After an avoidant partner realizes they were wrong, they often swing to the opposite extreme. Suddenly, they are overly attentive. They buy gifts, they plan dates, they text constantly. You might think, finally, they get it. But be careful. This is often not genuine intimacy. This is fawning. It is a trauma response where they try to buy back their safety by performing the role of the perfect partner so they never have to feel the shame of being wrong again. If you accept this overcorrection without addressing the underlying dynamic, you teach them that love is transactional. You teach them that if they mess up, they just need to perform harder next time. The disconnecting dynamic. They bring you flowers after ignoring you for 3 days. You accept them happily, ignoring the 3 days of silence. Their inner monologue says, "Phew, crisis averted. I don't have to look at the real issue." The connecting dynamic. You accept the flowers with gratitude, but you gently hold the boundary. "Thank you for these. They're beautiful. But I still need us to talk about why we disconnected earlier, so we don't keep doing this dance." That's when your partner stops feeling like a problem to manage and starts feeling like a person to come home to. The fourth shift is the silent bid for reassurance. Most couples believe that if an avoidant partner wants reassurance, they will ask for it. They will say, "Do you still love me?" or "Are we okay?" But the real truth is, an avoidant partner rarely asks for reassurance directly. Instead, they test for it. They might make a self-deprecating joke. They might mention an ex casually to see if you react. They might pull away slightly to see if you chase. This is where it gets really interesting. These aren't games. These are frantic, subconscious checks to see if the bond is still intact after they've damaged it. They are terrified that their mistake was the final straw. Listen to the internal monologue. When they make that joke, their brain is quietly registering, if she laughs, I'm still safe. If she gets angry, I'm rejected. The disconnecting response. You roll your eyes at their joke. Why are you being so weird? They withdraw further. The connecting response. You look them in the eye. I know things felt shaky yesterday, but I'm not going anywhere. We're good. And something in him is saying, she doesn't need me to be perfect. She just needs me to stay. The fifth and final shift is the slow return of curiosity. Most people think intimacy returns with a bang, a big romantic gesture, or a passionate makeup session. But for an avoidant partner who has realized they were wrong, true repair looks like curiosity. It's subtle. It's quiet. It's the moment they ask you a question about your day and actually wait for the answer. It's the moment they notice your mood and ask, "What's coming up for you?" instead of assuming they know. This isn't a communication hack. This is just what two emotionally mature people naturally do when the threat level drops. The disconnecting pattern. You both go back to normal immediately, sweeping the conflict under the rug. The resentment builds like scar tissue. The connecting pattern. They ask, "How did that land for you?" And you answer honestly, and they listen without defending themselves. That's the shift that turns a relationship that feels like a negotiation into one that feels like a refuge. This isn't a checklist. It's an invitation to show up differently, and that changes everything about what's possible between you and the person you chose. When you stop viewing their avoidance as rejection and start seeing it as a dysregulated nervous system seeking safety, you stop reacting and start responding. Your partner will feel the difference before you've even said a word. You are becoming the kind of partner who creates safety, not just the kind who demands it. Real intimacy doesn't start when you find the right person. It starts when you decide to become the person who can hold space for the messy, imperfect reality of loving another human being. Love isn't what you fall into. It's what you build every single day on purpose. If this resonated with you, share this with someone who needs to hear it. And let me know in the comments, which of these 5 shifts have you noticed in your own relationship? I read every single one. See you in the next one.